Stepping into La Lumière, the air thick with the scent of gourmet cuisine and polished elegance, Shaquille O'Neal, a towering figure in both stature and spirit, donned a humble outfit that contrasted sharply with the opulence surrounding him. The restaurant was a haven for the affluent, a place where appearances dictated the flow of respect and disdain. As he walked in, his presence commanded attention, yet the dismissive sneer of a waitress named Emma cut through the atmosphere like a knife. She looked him up and down, her judgment quick and unforgiving, as if the fabric of his attire could somehow define the worth of the man beneath it. Emma, with her perfectly styled hair and designer uniform, embodied the very essence of the class divide that often pervades society. To her, Shaq was merely a figure to be mocked, a peon beneath her notice. She had witnessed countless patrons come and go, their wealth and status shining brightly. But here was a man who, despite his towering frame, seemed to blend into the background of her carefully curated world. As she rolled her eyes at him, her disdain was palpable, and the other diners, caught in the web of her arrogance, exchanged glances, unsure of how to react. Yet Shaquille stood unshaken. His confidence radiated from him, a quiet defiance against the petty prejudice that Emma wielded like a weapon. He understood the sting of bias all too well, having faced it throughout his life, both on and off the court. Instead of retaliating with anger, he chose the path of grace, his demeanor a stark contrast to Emma's unprofessional memes. The room, filled with the hum of chatter and clinking silverware, began to shift. Diners who had initially felt pity for him now watched in awe as he maintained his composure, a living testament to the strength of character. Emma, undeterred, continued her mockery, flaunting the steep prices of the menu as if they were a badge of honor. "I hope you brought your wallet," she quipped, a smirk plastered across her face. But her smugness collided with Shaq's calm, and the tension in the room thickened. Onlookers shifted in their seats, their eyes drawn to the unfolding drama. Shaquille's quiet strength began to speak volumes, and whispers of admiration rippled through the crowd. He was no longer just a man in humble attire. He was a beacon of dignity, challenging the norms that held sway over their perceptions. As the minutes ticked by, the atmosphere grew more charged. Emma's blatant disregard for Shaq's presence became increasingly apparent, and the patrons who had initially sided with her began to feel the weight of her folly. The air was thick with unease, and the tension escalated as Emma, perhaps sensing the shift in the room, doubled down on her provocations. She tossed her hair back and leaned in, her voice dripping with condescension. "You do know this isn't a fast food joint, right?" But Shaquille remained unflustered, his demeanor a testament to the power of patience. He didn't need to raise his voice or retaliate with insults. His presence alone was enough to command respect. The couple at the nearby table, the Carters, exchanged glances, their expressions shifting from amusement to concern. They recognized the extraordinary nature of the moment unfolding before them. Shaq's unflappable demeanor stood in stark contrast to Emma's sour attitude, illuminating the stark divide between dignity and disdain. As time dragged on, the wait for service became a shared burden among the diners. But while Emma flaunted her lack of tact, Shaquille's composure only drew more eyes toward him. Unbeknownst to Emma, support for Shaq was growing, a silent tide of respect that began to wash over the room. The patrons, initially unsure of how to respond, found themselves rallying behind the man who had chosen grace over anger. When Emma finally returned with a flourish, her arrogance faltered. The way she served Shaq, with exaggerated flair, only exposed her own insecurity. The crowd watched, their collective breath held, as Shaquille, with courtesy and kindness, accepted the menu she presented. His words, simple yet profound, resonated in the air. "Thank you for your service." It was a moment that left Emma exposed, her bravado stripped away, and the diners leaned in, recognizing the lesson unfolding before them. Then came the moment of reckoning. Mr. Thompson, the restaurant's owner, entered the scene, his demeanor a stark contrast to Emma's. He approached Shaquille with a respectful nod, his eyes wide with admiration. Welcome back, Shaq. It's always a pleasure to have you here. The shift in the room was instantaneous and palpable. Emma's face drained of color as the realization hit her like a cold wave. She had mocked the very owner of the establishment. Her arrogance now laid bare for all to see. The atmosphere shifted dramatically. The contrast between Mr. Thompson's respectful greeting and Emma's disdainful treatment of Shaquille created a palpable tension. Diners began to murmur, their discontent with Emma's behavior growing louder. Shaquille, sensing the shift, took a deep breath, his voice calm yet firm, as he addressed the room. Respect is not determined by appearance or status. Every soul deserves dignity no matter how they appear. His words hung in the air, a powerful reminder that transcended the immediate situation. Emma's haughty disdain had boomeranged back on her, and the weight of her error pressed down on her like a heavy shroud. The crowd, once captivated by her arrogance, now turned their gaze toward her with a mixture of disappointment and pity. The lesson was clear. Respect is a universal currency, and it cannot be bought or sold based on appearances. In that moment, the restaurant transformed into a crucible of accountability. Emma's realization was not just personal. It echoed through the hearts of everyone present. Shaquille's stand against disrespect became a rallying cry for change, a call to recognize the humanity in one another, regardless of the superficial judgments that often cloud our perceptions. The atmosphere in La Lumiere shifted from one of tension to one of shared awakening. Emma, her pride shattered, stood at a crossroads. The weight of her actions pressed down on her, a defining moment that would shape her future. She recognized that the lesson Shaquille imparted was not just for her, but for everyone present. It was a collective duty to foster fairness and positivity, to speak up against injustice, and to weave trust into the fabric of their community. As the evening wore on, the diners began to engage in quiet conversations, reflecting on the unfolding drama. The ripple of change had begun, and it was clear that Shaquille's grace under pressure had sparked something deeper within them. The lesson of kindness and respect transcended the initial clash of perception, lifting the spirits of all who had witnessed the moment. Emma's regret was palpable, and she found herself grappling with the reality of her actions. The experience was a turning point, a chance for redemption. She understood that mistakes could lead to growth when met with self-awareness and effort. In the days that followed, she would carry the weight of that moment with her, a reminder of the power of humility and the importance of treating others with respect. Shaquille O'Neal, in his quiet wisdom, had taught a valuable lesson that night. True strength lies not in judgment, but in embracing others, regardless of their circumstances. La Lumiere, once a symbol of glamour and exclusivity, became a beacon of hope and healing through small acts of kindness. The story of that evening would ripple through the community, a testament to the transformative power of respect and empathy. In the end, it was not just about Shaquille or Emma. It was about everyone who had gathered in that space. They had all witnessed a moment that would resonate long after the plates were cleared and the lights dimmed. The lesson learned was one of unity, a shared understanding that transcended appearances and societal norms. In a world quick to judge, they had found a moment of clarity, a reminder that every soul deserves dignity, no matter how they appear.